Okay, I accidentally stopped the last video, but here we are again working on our bird. So I'm just continuing on its shape. This is where some people think that needle felting is just a little too tedious for their liking, but I really actually think it's kind of nice and relaxing. So I'm just working on the tail and just kind of thinning it out. I'm just trying to fine-tune my shape a little bit. Okay, using your hands to kind of manipulate and sculpt. So now I'm going to squish it with my hands right here because I kind of want it to flatten a little more, but I want it to be a lot more round and bulbous at the front. So I'm just going to squish down in the middle of the body, watching your fingers and don't poke, holding it down, and you can see that I've now flattened this out a little bit, because what we're going to do, I'm going to give you a general idea of the shape. Once we cover it a bit, so once we cover it with our colored roving, we're going to push up the tail. You can kind of see we're getting a bird shape. Now you also want to make sure your bottom kind of remains a bit flat, because you want your bird to just sit on its own. And that just basically means you're just going to have a flat surface. And how you just do that is just keep poking it to really use your needle to form the shape. So there we have our core of our bird. Okay, so what we'll do next is have a look at the breast of your bird, because this part is where it's going to be exposed. The inner core of the bird is going to be exposed because that's how I've designed it. And if you find you don't like the color so much, have a look at the rest of your wool. You should have enough from your second bird just to and then when you make your second bird, maybe just keep a little of the nicest bit of color out, and then take it and then just cover the underneath part like this. Just drape it over top of it, and then poke it down. There, it's made it much nicer. It's going to make it smoother, and you can felt it as much as you want. If you want it to kind of fuzzy, you can just leave it. You don't have to poke it in too much. But if you really want it to have that really firm, solid, you just got to, that firm, solid finish, you just have to keep poking it until that wool is really in there. Okay, so just going along and getting where it's fuzzy, making sure that piece of wool I just attached is all the way attached. Now it's still a little bit loose, and I want to cover this like a bit more up here, so hold it. So I'm pulling it up and draping it over. Okay, so now I'm just looking at the shape, and you want your front to be even, so I'm just going to squish it, and kind of where I'm squishing it with my thumb, where I kind of want it to go in a little more, I just needle felt it right around where I'm squishing it. Use that side. And then you just kind of eyeball it and you look to see where you're needing to even a little bits out. Okay, so that's where we're at right now. Now we're going to start adding. We can do the back feathers and head. So I'm using a little bit of a darker blue than I've given you. Now you'll have two tones of blue, one more of a turquoise and then one more of a cobalt kind of blue. So you take your cobalt kind of blue color and you're going to drape it over the head of your bird. Okay, just spreading it out. You want it to cover the head. And you're going to have a bit hanging down here. And what I'm going to do is felt it so that it goes into the neck area. You don't want any of the blue going down in here. So you're just guiding it into there. I'm just going to pull some off the end of my blue because I want to put it over the head because I want to make sure that it's nice and covered and nice and neat. So it's kind of a style that I have, but I like to pay attention to the direction that the wool is laying. It's like kind of like the grain of the wool. And in this case, I'm just making sure that the grain is going over the head like this. So we're just kind of pulling it over to the sides, around the ball, and then focusing on securing it around the neck. Just pulling, see these little bits? Just kind of tuck them in and then poke them with your needle. Okay. Now I'm just attaching the wool, and I have bits where I can see the green coming through. I actually personally don't mind that it does that a little bit. I like the green. That's kind of why I chose the green over doing like a white. I think it actually looks kind of pretty. But you'll get a sense of what you'll like. And just keep poking until I'm going to switch to my number 40 needle. Okay, so let's see. Trying to stick with the same needles that I've been showing you because it's the same needles that I've given you in the kit. I want it to be exactly the same as what you're doing. Okay, so this part's the tedious part because it's a lot more fine. This wool, you'll find that it takes longer for it to felt as opposed to the really coarse stuff that you were using on the body of your bird. Okay, I'm going to pause the video because you don't need to see me just doing this. I'm just going around the head and then just taking a bit off the end, coming back, covering it, and you're just going to keep doing that until you have the look that you're wanting to achieve for covering the head. Okay, so the next part's going to be doing the body and the wings and attaching this bit to the body and then making the tail. Okay, so see you in the next stage.